Hi everyone. We're going to be starting a YouTube channel for our homestead here, and I wanted to make an introductory video to kind of introduce myself and our homestead. So I'm going to start off first inside, just giving a little more background, and then we'll take a tour of our homestead. So to begin with, my name's Jake. I kind of grew up in a rural area in southeastern Pennsylvania, and really starting out was always interested in the outdoors, largely thanks to my parents. Um, really, as a kid, our biggest experience as far as our own little homestead was just having a garden and some backyard chickens. A few rabbits here and there, but mostly the chickens in the garden was kind of the background that I had starting out. Really learned some skills from my dad growing up as far as, basic carpentry, plumbing, things like that. Was in Boy Scouts, picked up some more there. In high school, probably the class that I credit the most with actually being beneficial as far as skills learned um, was my senior year. I took a ag mechanics welding class, which I was in the academic track, so it was a little bit of an oddball of a class for someone like me, but honestly was probably the best class I took. From there, I went to college and was at school for forestry. Was actually a change major, but ended up getting a degree in forestry. While I was there, again, picked up another slew of skills. Being a forestry major, I, of course, learned how to use a chainsaw, drive heavy equipment like skidders, log loaders, things like that. Um, Learned how to run a sawmill. And also one of the big things as far as more homestead related was we had a team of draft horses that we used for logging as part of the forestry program. So I took that class, then I became a work study, and during the summers when I was home, I volunteered at a local National Historic Site working with their team of horses. So that's really the background that I had largely with livestock was chickens and horses. So from there, I bounced around with some jobs in my forestry career. Eventually, in 2016, started my own company by buying out my former employer, and have been working for myself since then. So that kind of brings us up to where we're at now of starting our homestead. So we bought our first house kind of at the best time and the worst time. It was early 2020. We'd been looking for a little bit, and in January we came across a house that kind of met our requirements, which the big ones were it had to support my forestry business. So I needed uh, areas to park trucks, storage building of some sort of oversized garage, things of that nature. So a little bit bigger of outbuildings and a bigger parking area, which of course led us to more rural properties. So that narrowed our search pretty quick. Also, having an established business kind of dictated where we were going to be moving to. So we stuck with the southeastern Pennsylvania area. Um, and once we did find a place, after searching a few times, process went pretty smoothly. Luckily, this was a time when the housing market was kind of hot and in demand, but not crazy. So we were able to make an offer by the beginning of February, and then shortly thereafter, COVID restrictions happened and everything kind of shut down and went crazy. Luckily, we were able to actually finally reach settlement by the end of April that year. Took a while. And then since then, we started our journey of building our homestead. Um, the land really didn't have much on it other than the buildings that were there. Um, there was an area that was sort of prepped for a garden, but not very well. Um, there was one old apple tree. That was about it. So since then, we've been expanding the capabilities that we have here. And a lot of this ties into buying things that are dual purpose for both the homestead and my forestry business, which kind of makes things work. So with that, we'll take a quick tour outside and kind of see where we're at, the things that we've done so far, and what we hope to accomplish here. So there's the actual brick house that is the namesake of our homestead. This is our storage barn. The front half is storage for the forestry business. The back half, which I'll show later, is kind of our agricultural section of the barn. Again, big parking lot for trucks and whatnot. This area here is, we refer to either as South Pasture, the 1 acre lot, or the empty lot. We call it a few different things, but we have a 1 acre parcel over here on the other side of the driveway. As you can see, we have a Amish dairy farm as our neighbor on that side. So really, that was pretty much as it is now when we purchased it. Since then, we've just been kind of mowing. We did spread lime in the fall of 2021. We do have a trailer for transporting our tractor and other equipment. That's kind of a new purchase here. Now, when we bought the place, this old township road that was abandoned used to bisect the two parcels. There was a massive pile of debris, a lot of cinder block, old pipe, metal, plastic, actual garbage bags, stumps, all kinds of things. So that was quite a project to clean that up. We still have a little bit of a dirt pile left over of some unscreened topsoil, but we took that dirt, sifted through it. We filled 30 yards worth of dumpsters with that debris, so it was a lot. The rest of the dirt, a lot of it we used to build a little swale down here, which I'll show you. The main reason for putting in the drainage swale was simply because all the runoff from our buildings came flowing down this old roadbed, and if I didn't do something, I knew it was going to wash out our neighbor's farm field. So, to be a good neighbor, we used the skid loader that we had rented at the time to clean up the dirt pile to build this little drainage swale, which works pretty well. It'll overflow if we get a really, really heavy rainstorm, but most of the time it'll just fill up and then drain off within a day or two. We did need to get a survey done. I don't know how well you can see, but our one neighbor was kind of cutting the corner of our property with his cornfield by about 30 feet. So we did have a survey done to locate our corners because we intend to put a fence up around the perimeter. So over here we have our one old apple tree that's still hanging on. We actually got fruit last year. The house was built in 1900, and this tree's probably been around since then, so it's definitely at the end of its life and struggling. So because of that, we started planting a new little apple orchard. Right now we have 6 apple trees and 2 peaches. We're going to be putting some more in here shortly. Here we have our compost piles. The bigger one in the back is the older one. It's been cooking for a few months now. It's pretty well broken down. Still has a little bit of straw left in it though. And the smaller one is just getting started. That's one we're currently adding to. Right now it's mostly straw and chicken manure and any sort of kitchen scraps. We have a decent size pile of firewood. This was all trees that were cut down from the property. Again, it was a bit of a fixer-upper when we bought it, so had some dead and damaged trees. Also, we had a few that were a little too close to the septic drain field, so cut and split all those, been slowly burning it. So this is our barred rock layer flock. We have 6 chickens, 1 rooster, we just call him Rooster, and 5 hens. We got them the spring of 2020, so they're about 1.5 years, almost 2 years old. They're a pretty good layer flock. We're pretty happy with them.
So we'll talk about them a little later. Over here we have the back of our barn. Now this is just all open. It's just a pole barn shell. When we bought it, it was just empty, really, just an empty shell. I had to put in this gravel pad as a ramp because there really wasn't anything here. The surface of the concrete was pretty high of a lip. Recently put in electric, that now we have interior and exterior lights and electric out here finally. Got an old manure spreader that I picked up recently. That's going to be a separate video series of the restoration and repair of that. We got our grapple for the tractor, some parts for the manure spreader, that old wheel there, our straw bales for bedding, and there's all of our animal feed. So this area here was our garden last year. When we bought the property, there was a large mound of dirt, manure, again some more debris. They had, it appeared, attempted to till it at least once, and they actually overdid it, that they tilled right across the septic drain field. So I had to re-level and reseed that down there. But yeah, we used it for a garden last year, worked pretty well. This dirt patch over here is going to be an addition to the garden this year. That's where we had our pigs last year. So they kind of ripped it up and took all the sod off, and after they were done, I graded it off, and hopefully we'll have a garden over there. This is our chicken tractor. Since it's winter, we're not using it at the moment, so I just have it parked in the corner over here. We put in a few blackberry and raspberry bushes over here on the south side of the cluster of these trees. And then we have our current pig pen. This IBC tote watering system is kind of my current project. It actually froze up last night, even though I had some heat tape on it. So that's going to be today's project. But we just have some hog panel T-post fencing, a small walk-in gate over here, and a bigger drive gate over there. I have a solar charger, but it's currently not hooked up to anything, since currently the piglets we have are a little too young for electric. So this run-in shed here, that is for the pigs right now, this was actually built mostly out of scrap material that was left here on the property. In order to settle on the property, the deck at the time was just a frame with nothing on it. So to appease the mortgage company and insurance and all that fun stuff, the former owner essentially slapped down some plywood and T111 sheets, just to put some sort of decking on it, which we were fine with because I know I was going to fix it later anyway. So that means we had free extra deck boards and T111 sheets. So yeah, and as you can hear, these are little piggies. These guys right now are about 10 weeks old. There's the water dish I gotta use right now because the IBC tote froze up, even with heaters on it. But yeah, these guys are our Berkshire piglets. We got pork chop, ham bone over there, Beatrice, and Harriet. So the two males will go for freezer pork, sold as halves or wholes, and the two females, they'll stay here for breeding stock. Over here we have our chicken yard and chicken coops. So the big one, that's where our barred rock layer flock, they live. They're free range, so they're only in here at night and delay. Got their water underneath and their food right there. Over here is Shrimpy. He was a genetic runt, essentially, from the last batch of Freedom Ranger broilers that we had over the summer. So he was not very big when it was time to butcher, so We decided to kind of keep him as a pet, but he's confined to his little run-in just so he doesn't fight with the other rooster. Eventually we're going to get him his own little flock of layer hens. Over there we have a small patch of blueberry bushes. We might actually even move those. We have our disc harrow sitting in the trees over there. And then this is our north pasture, which used to be lawn, but we're gonna put up a perimeter fence and it's gonna be turned into our pasture for the pigs. Yeah, so this is our homestead, and again, our goal is primarily to supplement our own food that we're growing between the animals for meat and eggs, as well as the garden and fruit trees for fruits and vegetables. We're trying to do primarily pasture-based meat that we're going to raise, as well as focusing on non-GMO fed. We probably can't go full organic just because we are using pressure-treated posts and wood, simply because we want our infrastructure to last since it's so expensive right now. There goes piggies. So yeah, we're gonna work on slowly building this out and improving our infrastructure and increasing the number of animals we have, and it's gonna be a journey. So yeah, we're gonna try our best to document and share tips and information on how to get it done. Thanks, Shrimpy.